who is listening to this podcast? I could take a bus and yell out the window of the bus and I get a bigger crowd listening to your podcast.
Jesus Christ.
It was so fucking funny, man. All right, let's Joust. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Joust. My name is Liam McNeil. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Liam McNeil. Now, Nathan Wright, mate, how long's it been since we had you back?
A little under 3 years, my friend.
A little under 3 years, and it's a
years.
bit of a case of fate that we have you back on the show this very week, Nathan. Now, for some of our more seasoned listeners, they might remember the last time you were on. It was quite a time back. But for some of our newer listeners, can you quickly run through the topic that we discussed the very week we had you on back in, I believe, 2017?
It was 2017. Your lovely self was over in Canada at the time, and I was coerced.
It was a chick thing.
It was a chick thing. And aren't they all? And I was coerced by Nagy to come onto the podcast, mainly probably out of guilt and me nagging Nagy, as it would be. But it was actually against the Storm. It was a Knights game against the Storm, and then it was a different Knights team, but the same Knights result. So I am now the Knights v Storm loss correspondent of the Joust. I'm officially saying it.
Look, what a correspondent to have. You know, obviously, given the weekend's result, we need that kind of a correspondent. We need that kind of person who has insights specifically into what it's like losing to Melbourne.
Well, I'm really good at the Knights losing by scoring 12 points and losing to Melbourne. I'm actually really good at leaving a Knights game when they win against Melbourne, which I think is my Newcastle Knights legacy, if I might say.
Now, we were discussing this at the pub, but Nathan, fill the listeners in on the backstory there. As you mentioned, something flipped the script and you were maybe not in the right place at the right time.
No, and it was a selfish thing because this was a game in the cold of winter and I had the luxury of not being in the stands but being in a box seat paid by Lion Nathan. We sold a lot of kegs of gold one year and they decided to give me and my boss a couple of tickets, and it's probably colloquially known as the Storm game or the comeback game, which I ended up not seeing and finding out the next day because I left with 10 minutes to go when the Knights came in and scored a couple of tries to win, and that sideline conversion was directly in front of where I was sitting in the box. But I'd like to say that I don't have much blame in that because everyone else just effed off as well.
Well, now, a good friend of mine, Nathan Spruce, dear fan of the show, he was there as well. Now, he prides himself. This is one of the pillars of his being is that he never leaves before full time. He's one of the few people, and it's hard if you're losing, blah blah blah, to not leave before full time.
Exactly.
But he stayed. He was one of the few. He said that it was like the Wild West around him. There was
of course.
What are the
tumbleweeds is what you're looking for. The weeds that tumble.
The weeds that tumble.
And you know what? I hope he kept that up. And there was years and years and years that I guarantee that he left during the ending moments of the game because we're getting flogged the whole time.
Well, yeah, it definitely happened quite regular. But we digress. Now, we do have more to talk about Melbourne and losing against them.
It's ready to go.
But look, let's start with the news, I reckon, Righty. Let's start with the news. There's a couple of big things happening in the news this week. Now,
good evening. This is the NRL news.
Oh my God, that's our new soundbite.
I just wanted to do something
so
there.
deep.
There was empty space and I was like, do it.
We don't want that dead air. Fuck that. We don't want dead air in this show. Now, news. This is absolutely enormous. Nathan, Pom, Josh, all the men in the room here, we're witnessing history. So I wanted you all to be a part of this by, having your name input into the show. We'll put your faces in post. Now, Kalen Ponga, as of today, has officially signed a 4-year, is it? What year is it now? 2020?
Yes.
So he signed a $4.4 million deal that will take him through to the end of 2024, $1.1 million a year.
It's not enough.
I was going to say, how far into that contract do we get before we realise we've got a bargain?
I reckon today.
Yeah.
The only other time that we think that we've overpaid for him if he blows out his ACL and he's not the same again.
Oh, look, we'll buy him a new one.
Because you think about the Tigers with Tedesco, they spent money on him and he left for more money because they couldn't pay him. But he was a different player. He had injury. He had a running style that proved himself to injury. Ponga has none of this. Ponga is proven. Ponga is origin. Ponga is Australian. Ponga is life. Ponga is God. You pay that man.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
You pay
Piece
him
up
what
the
he's
pie.
worth, and you pay him. Look, I know there's certain religious factions that have a practice called tithing, which is where they take 10% of your paycheck to donate to the religion, to help the religion going. Now, I
Absolutely.
personally, I would be very happy if, say, Newcastle City Council, the City Council of Lake Macquarie, and Maitland City Council all came together.
Bring
and said,
Singleton in too. I don't care. Like, it
Singleton
strings
in.
up the valley. Let's get the minor money in this.
Let's get the minus money in. Let's say, look, we're all going to beholden ourselves to the pastime of tithing, and we're all going to give 10% of our income to the various municipal councils.
Yes.
And then they will give that all to the Knights to give to Kalen, because I think it's what he deserves.
And add it onto the rates. And you know what? I'm going to do the brave thing here, and I'll be a intermediary to this. I will take all the cash. It has to be cash, no direct deposit.
Nope.
And I will
Unmarked bills.
launder it, should you say, at various poker machines around around Newcastle, giving back to local businesses, and then taking what profit I make, because I will make profit in turn. But at least we'll be subsidising it, and we can, you know what, in short order, if I actually want to increase some of it from my own wealth as well, I reckon we can pay him double by tomorrow.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up, Nathan, because listeners may not know this, but Nathan is actually the Joust accountant. He's the finance guy behind the Joust. He's the reason we have these beautiful pop filters, these microphones, these tissues, hell, the hand sanitizer. You got a great deal.
I still need to bring mine from home, so I don't know when that's coming in. But yes,
It'll
this
turn
is
up. There
you
we
still
go.
got to bring your own.
It'll turn up. You got to bring your own. But yeah, no, look, it's to have Pong and to have obviously Nathan on our behalf as part of the Joust, the finance man, broker in the deal. Fantastic. I think it's a wonderful deal.
I agree.
I would have loved to have seen a 10-year deal, as Manly have done with Jay Cherry Evans, as
Tamalolo,
Cowboys done with Tamalolo. That particularly is looking like to be a bargain already. So I would have loved for the club to say, you know what, let's give him a decade.
I would love to see that too. I feel like his agent may be saying something of the contrary. Maybe he wants to go.
Father's his agent now.
There you go.
Andre, he was signed with Wade Rushton, but now Papa Andre.
Well, there
Good
you
friend
go.
of the
Like,
show.
you've got someone getting in there. We might want to have a bit of a chur at New Zealand rugby.
Buzz.
But who knows? I reckon the
knows?
agent here is a bit of an issue, and we've got more agent news in the news.
We do
If
have
you're a
some
fan
more
of segues,
agent
you'd be
news.
very happy with that one.
That was a fantastic segue, because we're launching into a bit of agent news now. This is a bit of the seedy, and we were discussing at the pub earlier. We think, now Nathan and I have come to this conclusion, and I think you Joust listeners will agree with us on this one, but there's been, how many seasons of Underbelly? There's been about 8.
Not enough.
Not enough. Exactly. And you know what the next one needs to be? Underbelly NRL player agents.
Absolutely.
Because they are a greasy bunch.
They are greasy, and Isaac Moses is the agent in the news at the moment. Apart from, again, religious connotations aside, I think he needs to have his own season, because I think you pointed this out to me, mate. He's got fingers in a lot of pies in rugby league.
And you
More
got
so
no-
than the players, if you know what I mean.
He's got more fingers in a pie than... I don't know, some joke about Derby's pies. They had made a lot of pies.
You know what?
If you put a finger in every Derby's pie, it's a lot of pies. You
It's
got
a lot
fingers in
of
pies.
burnt fingers. I've been into a lot of pies that have burnt my tongue on. But anyway.
But yeah, no, Isaac Moses. So what's he done? Now, what he's done is he's lost his accreditation.
I'd really like you to explain this to me, because I've read an article about it, and there was a lot of, how you say, legalese or circular talking, which you have in a lot of press conferences. But when you bring lawyers into it, it's a whole kettle of fish.
Isn't it?
So-
and I'm not a fisherman, so I don't understand what happens
I'm
in
not
a
a
kettle
kettle,
of fish.
so honestly, what
Why
are
are
we
they
gonna
putting
do?
the fish in the kettle?
Oh, well, look, I think if you
Surely
put it in
these
a
boats-
kettle, cooks them quicker. You get steamed fish straight up. But,
That's a good point,
then
actually.
again, I'm no chef or a scientist.
And look, we cannot stress strongly enough that we are not trained chefs, nor are we trained scientists.
Or
so-
are we fish, or are we kettles.
Neither.
But let's get
We are
into the
neither
legal
of.
matters, because we are
But
lawyers.
the legal matters. Now, what does this mean? Again, as people who have had significant brushes with the law, what does it mean for Isaac Moses and his accreditation and not being able to represent his players? Because God knows he's got a lot of people on the books. He's got, I
And
think-
coaches.
And coach. I believe he's got 15 Broncos on his books. He's got Anthony Seabold on his books. I believe Adam O'Brien may be on his books.
It could be
This
slander.
man-
Let's say perhaps.
Nah, fuck it. We got
Fuck it, we
microphones.
got-
We can say
we're
what we want. Yeah, that's it. Isaac, run at us, buddy. Have a hit up. Yes, but look, I think, and this is something that's been discussed in certain sections of the media. But my God, don't NRL player agents have a lot of power?
But that's the thing. They have all the player and all the bargaining agreement, and that's why we need to have the newest Underbelly season. Now, this has come to light because of a thing that happened with Tim Manor. False
Mind
evidence,
your
misleading,
manners.
and that's what I think we should call the new season. Underbelly, NRL, mind your manners.
I love it, Righty. I love it. We've got, obviously, people over at Channel 9, the Packers, very big fans of the show. Underbelly and Channel 9 show, NBN. So I assume they'll be consulting with us for some, obviously...
At least there's a writer's credit involved at all there. Maybe an executive producer.
Producing would be nice.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll get on to the Packers and we'll get back to you, Jousters, because obviously that's top of the priorities list. But even more so in the priorities list, crowds will be back.
Back in the game.
July 1, baby. July 1. Crowds will be back.
New financial year. New you in the stadium. I didn't make that work very well, but that's what's going to happen.
I think you made it work beautifully. I think you made it work absolutely superbly. Now, from July 1, the state government has permitted stadiums to allow up to 25% of their capacity. Now, obviously, there will be some sort of social distancing rules applying. They might have, the laser wash car wash.
Yeah, perfect.
They might have that, but with hand sanitizer, so as you're walking through, or the thing at the airport that spins around to detect if you got a bomb. It's like that, but with sanitizer. So you go in, you put your hands up, spread your feet, and it goes around you spraying sanitizer on. Obviously, that's an option. What other masks? Team-themed masks.
I think they should have the old-style 1970s, 1980s sort of TV show mum's hairdresser things that come down. We know they're getting the perm done.
Perm machine.
They sit there.
Yeah.
And then it's just like you just watch the game like that. You get your hair washed, you get it dry, but in the cone of silence, if you will.
Well, yeah. So what you're suggesting now, what I love is a mashup between not Mad Max,
Mad Men.
No. Agent 99 and...
this is...
the cone of silence.
Of course it's the cone of silence. It's
Get Smart. Yeah, so what you're suggesting is kind of a mashup of Get Smart and every kind of 60s era show where they've had the thing on the perm on the head.
Exactly.
So I like this. So you'd have to obviously spread them 1.5 meters apart. Although, us being in hospitality, so it's 1 per 4 square meters.
Yes, and this is where you're getting into it. The 1 per 4 square meters. But, and we've had to do this a lot in the hospitality game, which will be, I'm sure, coming up later. You can be in the same family or the same household and sit next to each other, but you can't be more than 1.5 meters close unless you're dining together. And then you can be in the same thing. So there's a meat pie at the footy.
That's a dining an option.
Of course it is.
It's a main meal.
But you can't book any more than tables of 10.
No, of course not.
So you can have 10 of your mates, 1.5 meters from each other with 10 of your mates, and then so forth. I mean, the next row you just skip. Screw the next row.
Skip the next row.
And then you just keep going on.
So you're going 10, empty, 10, empty, 10. What if, say for example, for our less sociable jousters, what if I can't find 10 friends?
You know what? Just find one.
I'll find one. We've already got one.
We got one. We're in
now.
We're in.
Oh, isn't it going to be good though, getting back to the footy though?
You know what? The only thing better about getting back to the footy is not being at the footy and listening to the high mic people that are at the footy and the players. Because I've heard more CNFs than I've ever heard in such a long time, picked up by the field mics, and it seems like they've mic'd up literally everyone in the stands, all 50 of them.
It's
at
fantastic.
The moment. I hope they mic up everybody in the stands now.
Oh, they really should, because one of the funniest things, and to cover your point earlier, a few of the games earlier in the season where there was not even anyone in the ground, you'd still hear people booing when there was someone going for a kick at goal, or someone's going for a touch
be it a cardboard cutout, be it some bloke that got a lottery ticket to the footy.
They got the ground effects mic there.
Yeah.
You've got 2 blokes on the bench.
Like, boo! What was it? They got the ground effects mic here, and then they got the other one coming here, and it's going crazy.
It's a lot of ground effects. It's a lot of ground effects.
But there is nothing better than seeing a game at the pub if you can't make it to the ground. And if you like segues, you'll love this one even better, because Monday night footy's back, and there's not many other places you can see it than at the pub.
And you know what pub we love right here at the Joust, Nathan?
We love the Commie.
We love the Commonwealth Hotel. Fantastic. It was, oh my God, it was great to be back there on the weekend.
I'll tell you what, it's probably my second favourite pub in Newcastle, but it's a sponsor of the podcast. I won't mention the one that I work at. But Monday night footy brought me back memories of just been hospitality patron in Newcastle and just craving the Monday night. This is your Saturday night. Monday night is hospitality Saturday night. And there's nothing better than saying thank you to the circumstances that did this. Probably something we shouldn't joke about too much, but Aidan Tolman, you are a legend. I love you to bits.
God bless Aidan Tolman.
There's nothing better than doing cash up all day and you're just counting money.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's enough. Hopefully there's, like more than what you should have. You're not going to pocket it, of course
You're
not.
not gonna pocket it.
But if
No,
there's
that'd be rude.
You get the boss on your case if there's not enough. But then at 7 o'clock every Monday night there used to be a football game and it used to be shit and it used to be one of the worst ones of the week. But at least you wouldn't care because you'd get to the pub at 4, you'd bet on dish lickers and whatever's running at fucking Wellington or whatever, and then you would just be toasty for the whatever game it was. And this week we had one that probably outdid any other Monday night football. Bulldogs Roosters.
Oh, what a clash of titans.
It was a bloodbath.
Jesus. But wasn't it good just to be watching footy on a Monday?
It was so good.
Again, hospitality types, Monday is...
I don't even care, but I know that you know that Monday night is the best night to drink of all week. And the listeners and the viewers know that as well. Monday night is the best night of the week to drink.
Agreed.
The Tuesday hangover doesn't count.
Even if you're not in hospitality, if you're just in, as I've moved from hospitality now, Monday, Friday, 9 to 5. Even I want to get pissed on a Monday night.
Of course you do. Mondays suck. No matter what industry you work in, Mondays suck. The only thing that can help you in that is drinking bulk piss and then watching blokes run at each other.
And reading a bit of Garfield. Because you know what he thought? Mondays suck.
You know what? I love my yucks. I love my funny pages, and Garfield's top 10 for my eyes. All right? The Wizard of Id comes close, but Garfield's up there.
It was good.
It was good.
I was also Hagar the Horrible.
Well, he looks a lot like yourself, my
friend. He does,
friend.
thank you.
Actually, I look a lot like yourself.
He was a bit of an inspiration to obviously to the both of us, played a huge part in our childhood. So, what have we got? Now, Joust, you're going to have to bear with us for a second because Nathan and I, we had a bit of a heated discussion at the pub. Heated in that we were both on the same side. And it's similar to, as you Joust would know, Nagy and I, we tend to get in the same point of view and we argue and we're both just yelling the same thing. And now Nathan and I got into a bit of this, I want to say yelling agreement, where we just yell in agreement with each other about...
Very, very passionate in our agreeants.
I got a new pair of shoes, right?
And congratulations for that, by the way. I forgot to... the thing's not here anymore. The thing's not here.
That's okay.
Let's just air fist bump. Yeah. Congratulations on your new pair of shoes.
Thank you very much. It was a birthday thing that we do, that the missus and I, we buy each other shoes on our birthday. And I used to be a 10 and a half. Now... I've been shopping around for shoes a bit over the last 2 to 3 years. And you know what I've noticed, and I think you mentioned that you noticed as well, where are all the half sizes?
No half sizes.
When did we as a society decide that...
Can I?
Yeah, of course. I think it's probably for you.
Go for the Joust. This is Nag's replacing Nathan. How are you? No. I'm on camera. I can't. Nag, I'll see you later. Okay, bye. Anyway,
I knew he'd call. I knew
he had to. My phone's off.
He loves the show. He really likes the show. So
thank you for letting me get that too, by the way.
No, that's
you
quite
would have had to hand it to me anyway.
Well, I would have just had to pass it on to you. Yeah, but what happened to half sizes in shoes? The same with footy boots. So tangentially related to footy.
Yeah, let's make it as related to footy as we can. I've put on a pair of footy boots once, and that was under 12s, and I never looked back because I never played again. Yeah. And even then, it frustrated me because they weren't mine, and they're a half size too small. So shoes are in general shit. In general. Terrible. Everything about shoes I enjoy. I'm a bit of a sneakerhead, like after watching, The Last Dance again, seeing all those Air Jordans popping up, fantastic. Nikes, I know the size of. Adidas, I don't know the size of.
It should be the same.
And you know what? This is the most pressing issue in footwear as well, by the way.
Yes,
about the half shoe sizes, not about anything else that relates to footwear, including slave wages and child wages. It doesn't matter.
It's the half sizes.
If they got it right, it would be fine.
They wouldn't need to play.
Not the children, the companies.
The company, yeah.
Definitely not the children. They're doing their best.
They're doing their best.
And I try not to think about it. But the companies having half sizes, like, I can fit into some shoe that I want, but, like, you can buy a same shoe that you bought 5 years ago. Hopefully they lasted that long, because they don't.
They do not. They just don't make them like they used to.
And if you try to buy them again, it's the wrong size.
It's exactly what happened with
Maybe
this very
I am
pair
blaming
of
the
shoes
children.
I'm
Maybe
wearing.
I am blaming the kids.
It could well be the kids.
I kind of hope it is.
Look, if you're paying someone 50 cents an hour, the quality control is not going to be great.
I feel like I can go after the kids a lot more than I can go over the guy that invented Nike. So
yeah, Stephen Nike. You don't know about
Steve Nike. Actually, his name is very similar to something like that. It's like Phil Nike. I'm pretty sure his name is like.
We'll fact check that.
Yeah, he lives
real
lives in Oregon and he like just throws money at people. Phil Nike. I don't know, but I still refuse to call it Nike. It's Nike. Nike or die.
It's Nike, that's for sure. I'll tell you a funny little piece of shoe trivia.
Ooh.
Adidas and Puma were started by brothers.
I know this.
The Dassler brothers in Germany.
Adi Dassler and his
Dassler
brother.
and his brother Rudolph.
I hear we listen to the same podcast.
We do. We must do.
Apart from the Joust.
Yes.
Incredible. And
there's no other podcast.
And let's get into and we all, like we do with the Joust, we get into German politics. And a soccer match between the two towns that are at the head,
yes,
if you will, of the
flashpoint.
the Eddie Dassler of the things.
There we go.
Yes.
Bill Bauman and Phil Knight.
I said Phil Nike, but it's Phil Knight. I don't know. I was pretty on it.
It's the same thing.
But anyway, Eddie and his brother Rudolph Dassler, the red-nosed Dassler. They it started sporting empires in separate towns. They lived together. They moved to very close separate towns. And those teams would play each other. And the president of Germany would come and watch them, or the chancellor, if you chance, and wear one Adidas and one Puma.
I don't think
we're
going to chance with the chancellor of Germany. That's
You know what, Angela? Yeah.
She's doing a good job.
She can get a chance with me. I'll give her a go.
Oh, she can get it. That girl can get it.
Anyway.
I'll tell you what, sexiest head of state since Thatcher.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why is it that Thatcher and Merkel always sound like euphemisms for vaginas? It just seriously does.
Well, you can't see the wrinkles they've got around. It's
You're looking at the wrong ones. We might need to cut that, listeners.
Nope.
Yeah, not happening. But now, we started the show with...
there she is.
We started the show...
They're side by side and they look hot as hell.
I still think that...
I haven't lost it.
Look at that.
It's
Oh, look at that.
still
There we go.
right
There we go. We have the Iron Lady in Margaret Thatcher. And then what do we call Angela Jerkles?
Ooh, maybe.
A bit of a jerk? I don't know.
I don't know how many women are going to listen to this that I respect. Probably not a lot. So let's go. She's the... you got the Iron Curtain. Mm-hmm. You just pull that apart and away you go.
How are ya? All right.
But yeah, we probably there's a lot more jokes because Google Merkin. Anyone that wants to do something tonight, Google Merkin, and Pong's listening. He's laughing at the same time. Anyway, if you don't, it's a pubic wig. So
I think there's money to be made there.
Pubic wigs.
Well, we all remember when Andrew Johns had that the red. You could do like so what was that? 1994.
Like an upstairs.
So if we go in
renovation.
if we had 2024, you could feasibly, as Joust merchandise, we could sell a matching top and tails.
Yeah.
Top and tails.
Carpet drapes.
Carpet drapes. Yes.
But that's for you.
Yes. It's dead. No one answered.
Well, that's all right. Now he's pissed off. He was hoping for me.
I heard that deep breathing, and that was it. That was all, man. It was just... Whoa. You know, you see people get those phone calls on telly where it's just deep breathing.
I've always wondered how we get live feedback from recorded podcasts that gets posted at a later date. But I just love it. I don't know how they do it.
We're living in the future right here at the Joust Knights NRL podcast. We're living in the future. But we got to live in the past a bit, Nathan. Last weekend... We got to live in the past.
Can we just talk about anything
26 points to 12. The Newcastle Knights defeated by the Melbourne Storm. And let's just start. Now, Melbourne were back on their bullshit. We all know, and it's all been said, and it's blah, blah, blah about Melbourne and the wrestle, and Melbourne and all this, and Melbourne and all that. And they've been doing it for years, and all this and all that. And it's all just annoying. And it's terrible.
Melbourne were as Melbourne as they could be within the new rules of the set restart that didn't seem to apply too much until the second half.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I could literally just look at the transcript of what I said last time and they slow down the ruck, they do what they do, they have an era of professionalism that borders on annoyance, they have an era of respect that the Knights, especially back in 2017 when I last talked about it, didn't have but are starting to gain. But in this match it showed, and I think the Knights may have played into that a little bit. Like, I'm going to refer back to a couple of like really sort of like easy sort of errors. Like the completion rate was terrible for the Knights and fantastic for the Storm.
I think it was, Storm completed 90%. I think the Knights.
Yeah, but that's for the whole
low
match.
80s, low 80s, I think.
I think for the first half, it was something like 50% of the Knights sets were completed and 100% of the Storm ones were.
Oh, look, that first half from us was just unforgivable is a strong word, but under the new tutelage of O'Brien, that was a fairly unforgivable start.
You got to think about what he would think about it, because like he's come in and seen instant growth, and then you come into this game and it's like when I used to play for the Maitland Mustangs against the Gosford City Rebels in basketball. You
Rams.
knew if you were going to Gosford, you were going to lose, and it didn't matter. Like you were going to lose. It sucked. And you could have like an amazing game, and no matter what you did, you just knew they were a better team. And I kind of feel like that may have been the atmosphere that they've gone into this with. They still put up a pretty good effort when they realised who they were, like a decent, like a top tier team in this NRL this season, this restarted season. They are top tier.
And I think that's a very good comparison to draw against the corresponding game last year, where the Knights had come off the back of a 6-match losing streak, and they got completely towed up by Melbourne. Now, the Knights, as we stand right now, had come off the back of a not a winning streak, but an undefeated streak.
Exactly.
And again, they stumbled against Melbourne. However, if you compare last year's game with this year's game, there's huge differences. Melbourne last year, at the end of that streak, dominated. I think it was like 36-6 or something like that.
Something along the lines, yeah.
In this game, Newcastle played themselves out of the game in the first half. And then in the second half, just didn't have enough to get over the line. But it was
there
close
the whole time. This is the hardest thing. Like getting the 2 points at the end of the first half. You wouldn't think that actually means much, but it did. And it didn't mean much at the end. Although if a couple of things went the right way, it would have meant a hell of a lot more than what it did. Like if Ponga decides to pass it to his right, if he decides to pass it to his right, like a couple of minutes into the second half, it's a different story.
Righty, I got a quick question for you, mate. 4 is bigger than 2. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct. Thank you very much. Now we see here we have 4 on 2.
See, to me, that's
And
like
again,
that's
4
4 on 1 to me. I don't understand what was going through his head. He's like, we talk him up, and rightfully so. He's an incredible player. He does all the right things. He's a young talent. He can kick well. He does all this kind of stuff. But this situation here, he holds it, steps, look to his left. There's 3 unmarked dudes to his right.
You know what? I'm going back on what we said earlier. 4.4 million is too much. 4.3 million.
All right, I'll keep the 100,000.
After that pass, you can cop it. You keep it.
Yeah, I'll keep it.
Yeah.
I'll put it on black. Fluffy trees. Let's do
Ooh,
it.
yeah, fluffy trees. All right. Yes, but Kalen obviously missed the 4-2, which was just, my God, that was unbelievable.
It was just frustrating because you start seeing them go back into their new old self. Like you see a team that have an identity that they're moving into with quality players and quality coaching and quality looks, and you see them struggle against an old enemy. And I know this old enemy, as we've talked about. And then they start coming into themselves again. You think, oh, that's sick, cool. This second half is ours. You know, if we outscore, we've got the same amount of points that they did in the first half. We've already got 2 more. Cool. I'm rationalising shit here.
I like it,
but
though.
If Ponga makes the pass, they're in. It doesn't even matter what it is. It doesn't matter. They are in. It was an egregious mistake from the $4.5 million man. We can rebuild him, though. We can rebuild him. This.
And that's the beauty of this whole thing. We can rebuild. And that was not something that we looked like we could do against Melbourne last year in the corresponding game.
Certainly not 3 years ago when we were getting blown out by 40 points. It was 46 to 12 or something like that. But, I mean, there's been a lot of instances in this, a lot of early like knock-ons, a lot of first half stuff. The second half was quite well, like really well.
Oh, it was a vast improvement.
Edric Lee seemed like he had like a sneaky good game as he goes in. Oh, that was Brad my best, but Edric Lee was really like on that try line score was absolutely pretty impressive. Like,
on Edric Lee's best day, he's honestly one of the smartest rugby league players there is. He can do things on his day. He can do things that most other players wouldn't think about, like getting that right angle, going over the touchline to get the pass in, or one that he's been especially good at this year is taking the high bomb, dropping it back to best that kind of thing. And
It's made Best look really good, although he does look really good. But Edric Lee is a very athletic player and incredibly agile, especially in the air. But this try that we see on the left-hand side here, that he gets the ball and gets it clear, it only looks like the only thing stopping him is Pappenhausen's knees.
Now, I'm glad you brought this up because we were obviously a close game, so points are at a premium. So an 8-point try at this point in the game would have been absolutely huge. I mean, as we saw there, Pappenhausen, the little rat boy, has clearly slid in with his knees. And
what a kick from Pong from there as well, by the way. Not you do, but the one that's paid millions of dollars to play NRL. But... yes. See, I'm on the fence, and I'm willing for you and the viewers, listeners, to sway me one side or the other.
We love knocking someone off the fence.
With the little Pappy, as I like to call him. Little Pappy Pappenhausen.
Now, to me, Pappy Pappenhausen, little Pappy, Mr. Hausen, whatever he is, a good Dutch boy. He's a good Dutch boy. Yeah. But he's a small Dutch boy. Now, most Dutch boys, if you look at especially a South African rugby union team...
And don't get me wrong, I love looking at Dutch boys.
Love looking at the Dutch boys. But they're normally very big. Now, Ryan Pappenhausen as a Dutchman is very small. But now,
he's the Flying Dutchman.
He is the Flying Dutchman, and he's also the latest in that incredible production line that Melbourne seem to have of just fullbacks on fullbacks on fullbacks. But boy, doesn't he look like a little rat boy. He's like Munster 2.0.
This is the thing, and I'm glad you brought up Munster because I despise Munster. And,
he's a despicable human being.
I struggle for why I despise him. And I think he's a Queenslander. He's also plays for Melbourne Storm, which I despise. Like, in all of these things. And he's got such a face you want to punch. But I wouldn't, because he would beat the shit out of me because he's very athletic and
he's a professional sports person.
But something about it, and the shit that he does, man, early in this game, he gets, he's on the wrong end of something that Mitchell Pearce does to Pappenhausen. And then he gets up and then he's all joined. But the smile on his face, it just makes me think, Queenslander, 4x gold, years of devastation, and this is the new thing. And he also sounds like he belongs on the Addams family.
Rum. He strikes me as Bundy rum drinker.
Yes, I think he injects it straight to his veins. But this is what I don't think about Pappenhausen. Pappenhausen seems like he doesn't get involved in this bullshit. He still plays for Melbourne Storm, which I hate, and I hate him for it.
But he doesn't seem to get involved in the grubbery, besides obviously the knees on Edric.
And that's what's swaying me. And I haven't seen his birth certificate. I feel like this is a very important thing that
important.
He needs to display me his birth certificate as a constituent of this country.
Well, no, to be fair, if you said that to Greg Inglis, that wouldn't have made a difference.
See, this is the thing. Is he from Queensland? Because if he's from Queensland, I'll immediately just drive down to his house right now and...
Let's egg his car.
And just stare at him through the window to make him uncomfortable. Not do anything wrong. I don't want to be recorded as saying I'm just going to stab him or something, because I won't, but I will if I have to.
Just kind of gaze in the window.
Self-defense. I just want to stare and make him uncomfortable a little bit. And it'll make me feel a little bit uncomfortable too, depending on what he does and how open his windows are.
But I think that could work, and then obviously that feeling of uncomfort would spread from him to his teammate, to his housemates, to his teammates.
Oh, well, while I'm down there, I may as well just do it to
Melbourne
the whole
Storm organisation.
Good. Yes.
I think we're onto something. Now, we obviously, here on this show, we've been big advocates of completely destroying the fabric of the Melbourne Storm Rugby League Club. And now we've got some fresh new ideas on board from Joust alumni. He's come back and it's these fresh ideas that the Joust needed. You're looking at a new Joust, ladies and gentlemen. Fresh ideas, cool new happenings. It's all happening right here.
I'm Joust alumni, but I'm a very specific Joust alumni in that I am Melbourne Storm losses Joust alumni when one of the other co-hosts are away.
There's no mantle like that.
Just don't get me on next time they play the Storm, because you know that they're going to lose. Just don't organise that in advance.
Damn it.
Or do organise that.
That ruins all the plans.
Do organise that for playoff seeding. And also bet against the Knights. If that's happened, we'll advertise it beforehand if I'm coming back on, and that's what's going to happen.
Please gamble responsibly, but we're not your dad,
but
so do what you want.
Smart and cleverly.
And
if
also
you have
just
a little inside tip, just put everything on it.
Yeah.
Everything on it. Everything.
And also tell us, because we'll put everything on it. We got all these computers here. We can get rid of them. But it wasn't all bad out of the game. We've got a couple of hats off to throw out to the jousters, to the people that love the Knights, and still remaining positive despite the shit that we don't like.
There's a few hats off. It's hard to do in a lost. Look, honestly, my favourite player in the Knights at the moment is Bradman Best. It truly is, and he's not the best Bradman we've ever seen.
but boy, he's close.
But he's, I mean, like,
He's
when
so
you think
close.
about capturing the hearts of a nation, he's Bradman's second best at that.
And
I've got a problem with the Bradman Best thing. People
It's the
keep
thumb,
calling
isn't
him.
it?
Well, he does look like a thumb. That doesn't bother me. Everyone's calling him Bradman Beast.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that's stupid. It should be
his
the.
name.
His name is
is
the.
already.
Are
Perfect.
they trying to
Yeah.
do like a beast mode sort of
I
situation?
don't know, but they
He
just
hasn't
keep
done-
calling him that with like Beast in all capitals, and I'm just like, his name's already Best.
Yeah.
You don't
Why
have to do
don't we just-
anything else to it.
Yeah.
You know what, man? Like, people shit me. Like, shut up with your opinions. You're listening to this podcast, listen to mine.
It was like
Am I right or what?
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
It was like when Mountain Dew introduced caffeine into their Mountain Dew Energized. It
Energized.
changed the product entirely. It
Still
was
buy it.
Oh, it's still a fantastic
Yeah,
drink.
it's great.
But it's so far off what it used to be.
No.
Bradman Best though, wasn't he fantastic? My
And
God.
by the way, I can't wait to listen to everyone's mailbag questions later because we really, really, really do enjoy that. And this is this is coming from an
Love
alumni.
bagging, yeah, and a regular sacker,
regular
Nathan
regular
Wright.
sack. Anyway,
but
yeah.
anyway, let's go quickly through some stats. Bradman Best, 153 meters, 68 post contact meters, 1 tackle bust, 1 line break assist.
And it's-
Fantastic. This kid's incredible, and just the subtleties of the game, like the catch and pass that he showed to Edric Lee, and the show and go for whatever he does, he just makes yards. He takes it real hard out of yardage. He's a complete package. I think we were talking about at the pub earlier on that he played, I think, under 16s Origin when he was 15, and I believe the coach was Danny Medeiros.
I can't
And
remember.
they said
but it
15
probably
years
is.
old, he could be playing first grade.
One of
At
my
15 years old, he could be
favorite
playing
things
first
to
grade.
do is to search, instead of just searching like person A's highlights, I search person A's highlights Titanic music.
Yeah.
As a Google search. And if you have an internet connection, and I know a lot of our listeners don't, find them at a cafe, sit down for a little while, log onto their free Wi-Fi, and Google Bradman Best State of Origin
Titanic. song.
Titanic. It's
Isn't
incredible.
it- isn't
It
it
blows me.
beautiful?
I lost my voice because it's absolutely incredible.
I think we're about to,
Goosebumps aplenty.
we're about to get it up on the screen here. So Bradman Best State of Origin Titanic music. We're about to get it up here on the screen, and there it is. So we'll take a moment of silence.
Is this
Nathan.
music copyrighted though?
I don't know if this is the...
Who cares? Anyway, we'll take a moment of silence, Nathan, to hear the video.
He's going to do some work to get out. Over here and Trevor Hopewadi. He do. He's over the 10. He's away, Hopewadi. Elbert Hopewadi gives it to Best. You ain't trying.
By the way, that was
Yeah.
like a 120-meter try.
Isn't that incredible?
It's
And you know
incredible.
what? In a week where we've lost to the Storm and, it's been a bit tough, you want to know a big fuck you to the Storm? Bradman Best turned him down.
And you know what's
Frank
really...
Panisi from the Melbourne Storm expressed interest in Bradman Best, and Bradman, being the good young kid he was, he found out about this interest. And he called Frank on the phone and he said, Frank, look, and he was only 17 at the time. He calls Frank and he says, look, Frank, I really appreciate your interest in me coming down to the Melbourne Storm, but I want to play for Newcastle. I
And
want to
let him
play for the
down easy.
Knights. And,
True gentleman.
Oh, true gentleman. And that's actually a true story. I know we take the piss a lot, and we.
Well, when you
I
said
was gonna
his
say
name
take
was
it- we
Panisi,
lie a
I was
lot.
like, he said his name was Panisi. I'm like, it sounds a little bit like penis. Liam might be leading me on here.
Well, no, it's a Mediterranean name.
Oh, of course.
Bonizzi.
Yes. Yeah.
Bonizzi. And so Bradman, he turned him down and he's all ours. He's all ours for quite a while. But speaking of all ours for quite a while, I think for me, the hats off's also got to go to K Pong. I mean,
Yeah.
besides the 4-on-2, which, I think every year they're going to have a birthday for Kale and they're going to show his highlights. They're going to show his good stuff on the screen. I think that they should put that in every year to keep him humble.
I think
that
so
4-on-2.
too. I think every contract negotiation from here on forth should start with him not passing to his right to the plethora of people beside him.
I think you're exactly right, and I think that could be what keeps him grounded. Because he needs to be grounded. He's a fantastic player. Clearly, a fantastic person off the field. Chill as hell. God, I'd love to have a beer with him. I reckon it'd be good on the piss. But another
Loves
great
his
game.
spirits old pong pong.
154 metres, 36 post contact, 10 tackle busts.
That's too many. He's not allowed to have that
He's
many.
not allowed to have that many, but he did.
But he did.
He's
and
not
so
allowed
did
to,
my,
but
so
he
did my
did.
partner this week in Supercoach, which wasn't very good. But it's all good. Now, honestly, like, hats absolutely off to him. And I think we also were highlighting Daniel Safidi's.
We were highlighting Daniel Savidi. Now,
effort.
his second stint was superb. I haven't quite got the numbers on me yet, but yeah, he came on in the second half, and he was on a mission.
A big part of the engine room of the Knights, as we often hear from myself and you often talk about.
We do.
I think as we see him knock a ball on.
He did do that. He did do that.
But like, you've got a guy that's come through, and I was talking about him in 2017, and he's still here with the team now, and he's still a workhorse, and he's still doing what he needs to do.
And he's now an Origin prop.
He is now.
Now, there was a lot of people, very interesting last year, who, when he got picked for Origin, said that maybe he didn't, and I air quote, Joust fans, look at this, didn't deserve his spot. But there was no better prop in New South Wales at that point in time, given injury, blah, 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 blah. But now he's playing himself into the type of form where he'll get picked in Origin, not because of injury. He'll get picked in Origin on his own form. Whereas last year, he was picked because there was a bit of an injury situation with the front rowers. But the way he started this year, he'll play himself into an Origin jersey on the back of his own performances.
And the team performance as well. They usually reward teams. But speaking of like playing into form as well, Kurt Mann has had a ripper.
Oh,
he's been a great utility player for the Knights. Like, he really has done well for what he's been asked of. Like, is it like, in terms of team players, you want a couple of people that just are just there and doing what they need to do. And I think Kurt Mann's doing that. I think he's doing a great job.
And it just so happens to be what he is, being tasked to do is a starting 5'8". Like, previously, you'd say Kurt Mann does his job as a 14, coming on, mucking around, having a bit of fun.
Bit of relief from the hooker,
But now we can say that Kurt Mann is a starting 5'8", and he's going out there and he's playing some damn good footy. He's playing some really good footy. I've been very impressed with Kurt Mann. Oh, now, Nathan, if we could just skip back a bit on that video there, Pom Miss, a couple of seconds.
Oh, this is the Finucane.
The Finucane. Now,
actually, this should be the new name for what this is.
It's called the Finucane.
It should be the Finucane. When a player is knocked out of play in front of the ball and will not play a part of it.
Oh, wait, sorry, that wasn't it at all. I believe it's the next play. But now, Nathan, you're actually, a lot of our listeners wouldn't know this, but you're a member of the Motion Picture Academy Arts, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences.
And Sciences, this is the most important part of it, is the science.
It's the science.
Yeah.
And
I was trained by Andy Serkis. Are you familiar with Andy Serkis?
I'm very familiar with Andy. I loved his work as Smeagol.
He was Gollum,
He was Gollum, yep.
And Smeagol.
And Smeagol.
He played 2 roles in that. I don't stop that. Yeah,
now, he doesn't get enough credit for that.
You know what? And
2 roles in one movie.
Yeah, I know. They're the same person, but they're different of each other. Anyway, he's also been Caesar in the Planet of the Apes reboot franchise. And he was
in Peaky Blinders too.
He was in a lot of things. He was in Black Panther.
Oh.
Nagy? Oh, shit. No, if we talk about your movie, it doesn't mean we have to pay you for anything. We're actually making you money. Have you looked this up? No, I'm not on every week. God. No, we will not retract it.
It's called guerrilla marketing, and we're doing it.
And speaking of gorillas...
Oh, yes.
He was in Planet of the Apes. And we're going back to the subject.
Planet of the Apes, where, there you go.
Oh, man, segues.
Wasn't Andy Serkis fantastic? Now...
Excuse me.
Speaking of that particular sound, we need to give our hats back on. Now, this was... the hats back on was offered in a post that we put up almost immediately post-game that a lot of Knights fans seem to engage with. Now, for our hats back on... We've discussed it, and we've decided that we want to go with not a player, but in fact a match official.
Referee, if you will.
Referee,
yeah.
Who we would refer to adjudicate the rules, but who adjudicated the rules quite poorly. And in the wrong sense. And not in the spirit of the game. He didn't let the boys play.
He did not let the boys play, and I am conflicted in this. And... we will touch on this, and maybe this is the Segway King's advice to get into the listener mail here. But
you're too good at this.
Ben Cummins. Ben Kardashian Cummins.
Oh. Ooh.
Yeah, because of the comeback story.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're aware of it.
Let's come on her back.
Yeah, of course. That's the best comeback story ever. Ben Kardashian Cummins kind of stitched us up a bit, but do do you blame it on the referee when there was a poor showing or a subpar showing way through? He made some wrong decisions. There's only one ref on the field at the moment. So, yes, he's at fault. He's the worst. He's disgusting. But can you blame him for the result of the match?
Now, I'm glad you brought that up because we've got... if you look closely at the face on the man, yes, you can blame him for the match, but...
I mean,
we've
close your mouth in a picture once. I know you're running around for ages, but close your damn mouth.
But we've got an interesting one for the mail sack that I'm actually going to push ahead because it's not a question, it
Push
is a
that mail
statement.
sack ahead, please.
And usually we don't address statements in the mail sack because there's too many. There's too many statements, but... This one is very, very pertinent. I'm going to use the word pertinent.
Lay your sack on me, Nagy.
Now, Danny Towell. Danny has put to us, and I think it warrants discussion. Anyone blaming the refs needs to take a good hard look at themselves. We played with nowhere near the same intensity and energy we had played with in the other rounds. We looked flat and looked scared. No line speed killed us, and too much one-out shit. Now, I'm inclined to lean heavily towards Danny's point because...
I'm inclined to say that's very easy to say from behind a keyboard, mate. And you know what? You should be looking at yourself deep in the mirror. Not only are you correct, but there's a lot of that there that we really need to address because I feel like the ref did play a part in the loss, but I don't think it affected the result.
Yeah, look, the Knights should... and. It's funny. Growing up, I was a bit of a ref's faulter. I was always happy to blame the ref, and I was always happy to say, oh, it's his fault that we didn't win. And it got to the point where I believe it was the 2015 Newcastle third grade grand final.
Oh, we remember that all.
I happened to come in second place in that grand final, and I went to throw my medal in the bin. And you know what my dad said? He said, don't you throw that in the bin. I said, why not? And he said, because you did a good job. And I said,
but not good enough. Not good enough.
Second does not mean shit.
No. But you were in it, and I was probably, I don't know, digging in a sandbox somewhere. I don't know. But at least I didn't lose the game.
But I digress. I blamed the referee for losing that game.
Yep.
And I drank heavily because of it. However, I learned later on to accept with a bit more grace that you need to be better. You need to perform better so that such situations will not dictate the result of the game.
I think we can have this conversation if Ponga makes that right pass.
Exactly.
I think you can have that conversation if Sione Matautia doesn't knock it on 3 times in the first half down the bottom. Exactly. There's a lot of stuff that come into it first, and discipline is a big part of it. They let it down. We played against the competition that we thought they were going to beat us. And then the ref decisions came into play. Exactly.
Now, and it's a very good point. It's you've just got to be better. Yes, let's.
We're just having a bit of fun with the soundboard over there.
I really wish we still had the soundboard here. But yeah, blaming the ref is okay and it's fine and it's whatever. But at the same time, your team just needs to be better. Yep. Manly from the week before. Now, Joust listeners, I want you to record this moment, save it to your brain, save it to your phone, save it as something, because I'm never, ever put it in your veins, because I'm never going to use this sentence again. Manly were robbed. 2 weeks ago, the thing against Parramatta with the 4. Yeah. Anyway, that is the kind of refereeing decision where you can truly say that lost you the game. However, I would say in the case of Mr. Cummins and the Melbourne versus Newcastle game, I would say that Newcastle just had to play better. Yeah. They didn't have to get the right calls. They just had to play better.
I think if you whittle the whole argument that we've just had here is Melbourne Storm are always going to get the benefit of the whistle while Cameron Smith is playing.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you don't play up to the level, you're going to lose. There's nowhere else in this.
No, absolutely.
And moving on. I mean, you can talk about the refs more, but the team didn't win. So let's move on. And let's move to something more important. Another question from a listener about the Miners jersey.
Now, the Miners jersey, I'm glad we're cutting to the question earlier on this, because we'll go back to the Broncos game after.
This is from Matt Stork.
Matt Stork, I quite like this question.
Enemy of the show, as I'm led to believe.
No, different.
We only have
we have no enemies.
Well, that's not what you said at the pub, but that's
all the mainstream media, they're our enemies. We're guerrilla media. We're fighting against them. But Matt Stork asked a very good question. It's meaning aside, do you guys like the Miners jersey and its lack of red and blue? I'm going to go out there on a limb, and I'm going to say I like it.
Yeah.
I do like it.
Yeah, I hate it. For the reason, not only does it not look like the Knights, I
doesn't.
understand it, but
It also doesn't look like a proper high-vis uniform.
exactly right. They're doing two things
But they've
completely
missed
wrong.
both of them.
They missed both. But what I hate most about it is they decide to use it in the most opportune times.
Oh.
I've seen them wear it against the Tigers, and I've seen them wear it against the Broncos. Both teams look like this jersey, as you can see
that's
here.
it. They feature heavily kind of yellowy, orange type colours, and you're right though. I like.
Wear it against the Seagulls and just like really fight back against the silver spoon guys
Also,
saying
look
we're
at-
blue collar, we're going to wear the mining.
Look at Josh King on the left there. Boy, isn't that a name you haven't heard in a while?
Josh King.
Haven't heard his name in a while.
Mate, I haven't heard many people named Josh recently, let alone Josh King.
We've got one right here on the producing team.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
he just wiped my chair down when I walked in and I just sat down on it.
wonder how Josh King's going these days. I think Josh King is a bit of a funny one. He was always going to be an Origin time reserve, but now there's no Origin.
Maybe if he had an afro, he could be like his brother Matt and make the Australian side. Who knows?
Could do, and then throw that beautiful overhead volley for
we
New South
love
Wales
it.
in the
We
state of
love
Origin.
it. We
Didn't we
love it.
love
We
Matt
love it.
King? He's got 3 games in that Origin game, I believe.
Three tries in one Origin game. I mean,
No, he scored 3 games in one game.
That's
He
3
managed
games.
to cram 3 games. It was incredible. It's
Never been
seen
done
before.
since. Never been
Nor
done
since,
before.
No. But yeah, look, next time against the Broncos, this is impossible to pick. Because what the hell are the Broncos doing this year? They're losing by 61 week. They're losing by 57 the next week.
All being really
They're losing
competitive
by
in-
like 10 points the next week. They're getting close to a win, but also they're not because they're shit.
They're so shit, and they looked decent last week against the
They
Seagulls.
looked
They looked
decent.
decent
It was
against the
strange.
Seagulls team that I have mixed feelings about because they, on paper, a red hot team.
To be
But they
fair,
just
though, a
haven't
couple of
done-
injuries. They
Yeah,
had no
exactly.
Marty Tapau. They had no.
Well, yeah,
Joel
Marty Tapau goes
Thompson,
off.
I think.
Yeah, they go off early, but they still got the T brothers, the T Bones, and they're still
T-Bones.
like a good team. But I don't want to get ahead of myself here. I like this year for the Knights against Brisbane because every other year in the past, I would have picked Brisbane. From when I say every other year, I think from my first 15 years of life, from 91 to 2006, I think the Broncos were one of the most amazing forces
they
in
were
rugby
the
league.
team. They were the Globetrotters of rugby league.
They were.
They had all the stars. They had all the Queensland players.
Yeah.
And so we're men of similar age. And so growing up, we experienced the same era of Broncos dominance.
Yeah.
And it's not until you think about it. They won their last comp in 2006. That's 14 years ago.
That's correct.
14 years ago.
That's-
They made the grand final in 2015, but that's a blip. That was Wayne coming back. He did good for 1 year, and then he left again. But it just seems like the Broncos are completely and utterly devastated
Well, this
compared
is
to what they used to be. I
This
don't
is
know
what I'm
what's
hoping
happened.
doesn't happen to the Knights because they paid so much for Milford and we're paying a heap for Ponga. So I hope it's not a reflection of what's going to happen in 4 years from now. In 2024, the Knights aren't going to be the Brisbane Broncos of the league.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've got like McCulloch leaving and joining the Knights is going to be a big game for him. Mm-hmm. And we have Fitzy coming back. That was a burp. Fitzy's coming back. That's going to be
Loves
good.
a burp, Fitzy does.
Yeah, he does.
Big fan of the show. Former guest of the show.
Yeah.
He heard us-
I was in before Fitzy, but
He
that's
heard,
fine.
oh no, you blazed the trail. If it wasn't for you, we would not have had Fitzy. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
well,
There you
and
go.
if,
That's
if
on
it
the
wasn't
record.
for Aiden
That's on the
Guerra,
record.
it wouldn't be for Ponga or Fitzy or any of the guys. So I feel like this time I can confidently say the Knights are going to destroy the Broncos.
Which we wouldn't have said in the past, would we,
I've
Nathan?
never said it before.
Okay. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got distracted. Let's quickly cut to the mail sack. Now, let's start with Katrina O'Brien. She's been very impressed with Coach O'Brien. Her namesake, quite obviously. I believe it's Adam's sister writing in. But in her opinion, this week's game against the Broncos will show how far we've really come this season. Thoughts? I love it. I think it's fantastic. I don't think the Broncos will be as much as a litmus test as the Raiders and the Storm were because the Broncos have been so average this season. But
But you need to put a team away like the Broncos as to separate yourself from the rest of the league. Like if the Broncos are what we think they are, you
Yeah.
need to beat them and beat them well. Like that's the same thing as a Titans or something along those lines of Bulldogs. The Roosters have proved to do this in the past. If the Knights want to be at the same table and not the kids' table anymore, they need to do something similar to what a Roosters or a Raiders or someone else would do in that situation.
and just be fantastic.
And just Put them to the sword. Why
Be
not?
fantastic.
They're
Put 'em to
Queenslanders
the sword.
again. I don't know if I've said it enough how much I hate Queenslanders, but just
See, this is why we get
Kill
you on the
them.
show, Nathan, because you get us. You understand us.
I am you.
You are us.
Look at me.
You
I am you,
are
but without a hat on. Like, let's just do that.
Now, Katrina, yes, great question. And also, if you could get your brother Adam to come on the show, that would be absolutely fantastic. Let's see. Danny Talbot. Gavin Morton asks. Thank you very much for your question,
Oh, the
Gavin.
mortician.
The
Here he is.
mortician. Do you think the Knights' 32-year streak of only ever losing a match because of the rest will ever be beaten? I would say, Gavin, shut up, because Gus Gould's 5-year plan worked out great. So don't shit on the Knights.
Yeah, I'll add to that. When they have a 20-year run like the Storm do, they can use the ref as an excuse,
Yeah.
like the Storm do. Until we get there, we won't have that excuse.
Now, and let's go. Let's call it the last question for the night. Why? Up from Erling Grunhog, the Duke, dear friend of the show, the Duke. Why is it that all sports codes have these two flawed sets of rules in place? If, number one, if we win, the lads fought hard and showed true spirit. 2, if they lose, the ref is a fuckhead and the game is rigged. Now, Duke, I'd like to say that I think that comes from the classic Australian, the thirst to win, the thirst to be the best. You know, we're a nation of scrappers. We're a nation of competitors. We're a nation who, in the 90s, we were so good at sport, we won everything. But since then, we haven't won dick. But what I will say is that for Duke, it's easy. If you win, you can say, yeah, the lads fought hard and showed true spirit, because it's easy to say, because you just got 2 points. Doesn't matter if you played like the worst piece of, of a turd ever. If you won, you can say the lads, showed true spirit. If you lose, it's so easy. You blame the ref. You say, that man wronged us. That man who was meant to be the boss, he was meant to be the adult figure. He was meant to be the man. And he let us down.
And
It's so easy. It's just such an easy route for fans to take.
We got to remember that history is also written by the victors.
Oh,
and
God,
in this
Bridie,
situation,
that's a bunch of bullshit. Don't get me started.
We ain't writing shit, all right? This comes from
the
the guy that's last name is right. We ain't writing shit till we start winning, all right? So
There's a whole nother podcast about that.
We can keep blaming ourselves, but until you start winning and you start getting in there, it's going to be a whole different story. The guys showed promise. They're going to beat the Broncos.
Easily.
Let's move on, and let's not do the same thing against the Storm when we see them in the finals.
And you know what let's do? Let's go to the pub. Let's watch footy at the Commonwealth Hotel.
Yes.
And let's have ourselves some damn good times in the lead up to... When are the finals now?
I don't even
It can't
know.
be September.
Who cares?
It's
But let's
gotta
bring
be
back
like-
Monday
let's-
Night Football. Let's do it. I
More
want Monday
Monday
Night
Night
Football
Football.
so much. And Aiden Tolman, please, if you have anything that you can ever do in your power to do this, and Laguna Public School or wherever your child goes to, please, Monday Night Football is the one small joy that I'm looking forward to. Please make it happen.
Aiden,
Please.
come on, mate. We'll Aiden Tolman.
Mr. Tolman.
Hey,
Mr. Tolman.
He's a son of the Hunter Valley. I believe he was a Skone thoroughbred. So
I might be his son. I
Look, I'll
don't
get
know. We both have red beards from the Hunter Valley.
Again, it's a whole big thing. We all this, we all have this. Man, yeah, we'll call Aiden. We'll put in a call to him. But ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the Joust this week. Thank you so very much for joining us. You can find us on Instagram, SoundCloud, Facebook, Twitter,
YouTube.
Spotify, YouTube.
Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts.
Google Podcasts, probably some weird
In
line
between you couch cushions and shit. And, when you get a real gross coaster at the pub,
Yeah.
turn it over. We'll be there. But not me, because it's Snaggy next week.
What about LimeWire, Josh? Can we put our episodes up on LimeWire? It's already there. It's already there.
But
Thank you
you'll
very
have the
much.
wrong title. It'll be like Night's Podcast, new one, XXXXX, like extra special, good time.
Chris Brown __
And you'll be downloading a virus.
Newcastle. And look, don't download anything we send you from LimeWire. It will not be a legitimate podcast.
Don't do it.
We don't endorse LimeWire, but we'll get it up on there anyway. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on this particularly special episode of The Joust with our alumni, Nathan Wright, coming back from the dead. We all thought he was gone, but he's back.
I'm back, baby.
And it won't be the last time. Good night,
Thank you,
Jousters.
Liam. Good night.
And good night to you.